Knowing how Google Translate works, I would. Oh, trust me. They're focusing on ad blocker now, so I concur with that idea.
Yo,
I didn't.
Friday.
Back.
Back.
To clarify when you say worms, though. The ones out in the yard or the ones in your stomach?
Yes.
Are you nerd? Oh no. Nice cat. Oh, did you see me making the jokes yesterday?
Ed, you're not supposed to finish in No Nut November.
To roll out FP or not to roll? That is the question. I'm in your position, though. Like, I don't need it. I mean, I still need to have some FP saved for Bunyan event coming in April.
Thank you, Zonya's hourglass.
Bobbies. Bobbies.
Some
Back out, back out, back out.
Got
I found 6 videos to add to the media share. Well, I didn't. Next door, they're doing construction, and they had like this weird little whirring machine that I thought was something else. Probably.
Right.
Well, they ain't coming in here because we got all the walls sealed and everything.
Au revoir.
Hello, everyone. How's it going? Sorry about that. I had to take care of something. But hope everyone's doing good today. We are running a little bit behind, but don't worry about that. I would like to get the final Grail front done today, as well as the Ranmaru analysis, so my focus will be less on AP. But we should be okay. Hey, why is Zelda trending on Twitter? Nintendo just confirmed that a live-action Zelda movie is in production? What? What? I am terrified of that because unlike Mario, Link has never been shown talking. So that's gonna be interesting, to say the least. Link talked in the 90s cartoons. Those don't exist. You can't convince me otherwise. I hope they get Ron Perlman to play Link. I don't. There was that one time, Cat? Nope. Nope, doesn't exist. Literally doesn't exist, chat. Link has never talked. Don't know what you're talking about. Stop trying to claim otherwise. He also talked in Twilight Princess? Nope. Nope. Link has never uttered a word, chat. Hit. The tweet is live, chat. Do me a favor. Go give it some love. In fact, here's an easy link for y'all. Then let's get this party started. Here is today's artwork. Do me a favor and go give Ardent Knight some love, aka Boa. Do the CDI Zelda games exist? Nope. How you doing today, Derpy? There's today's artwork as well. Okay. MH it is then, yes. Figured chat would prefer that. Okay, so we should be good on everything. Yep, let's get this party started. Again, like I said, I'm just gonna kind of burn through AP so y'all get to see how fast I can do it, as that's gonna be my focus right here. The goal being to get into the Grail front and just to kind of go. Cat, is there a reason you don't roll for whatever servants you're missing on your NA account? Yeah, why do I need them? That's it. Like, most of the servants I don't have are either not in a good place, or I just do not desire them and know I will not use them. Thank you, Ash. Appreciate it. That's literally all it is, though. Like, I have nothing against them. It's not like, oh man, I hate these units. They're just not highly desired units. Ilya and Janako? Yeah, I don't have either of them. And Janako's permanent, so Janako could always show up. So why bother rolling Janako? Ilya, I end up having a really robust Sanzang at this point. I have an MP5. Don't really see the need. And even from there, I have basically I think an NP3. I don't remember what I rolled to on NA here. Some of these are not playing automatically. Chat, if song request stops, just let me know. Wary Wolfie, thank you for the follow as well. Sorry, I did not see that earlier. Check the wires, check the R2 SR's borked. Wait, are people not able to song request? Because I saw people were earlier. Yeah, because this one's not mine. No, it just wasn't playing. Yeah, it's like whatever set series of songs or whatever people were requesting, it just wasn't auto-playing. Sometimes that happens. I don't know why. I got MP5 Ilya while going for Grill of Sapphire. Yes. Do you have Tesla? Nope. Tesla, out of all the units I don't have, Tesla's probably one that would actually be, like, usable for me. But that's still predicated on the fact that I won't use certain units. Because, like, maybe they're Bond 10 or something like that. There was dead time on the requested song. No, it was just, it had literally completed and it was just sitting there with the play icon. Which happens sometimes. It's nothing you guys did, it's just Nightbot. Just one of the peculiarities of it. Hello, Astral. How's it going? We're quickly burning AP so we can get to the Grail front, the final one on JP. Exactly. Sometimes songs just sit there. Ready to make CE bombs tomorrow? Go for it. What's up, Louise? Just here to give movement on the YouTube chat. I appreciate it. Hello, Jen. I actually had a very good game with a Jen earlier. I played 2 PvP matches before stream, and both of them caused the enemy to forfeit. It was hilarious. One of them, they banned Leona, which I'm trying to play more. And I ended up on Rel. And Rel is like, quote-unquote, my main. And my god, we destroyed them. I was with a Kaisa that was just very good. And it felt really nice. How long's JP event got left? I think it's still like a week. Yeah, like it was at 9 days a couple days ago, so. Yeah, there you go, 7 days. Okay, we're going to quickly run over to NA. There is nothing happening on NA right now. What's up, Haika? Wait, Haika, is that a new account? Branded on, thank you for the 48. Thank you for the 4 years. Can't believe it's been 4 years since I first subbed. Time sure flies by. It does, man. I've actually been working on some stuff behind the scenes too, chat, so I can't wait to show you some stuff, but it's obviously going to take time. Yep, I see people already posted the Nintendo live action that got announced for Zelda, which is just wild to me. SR borked again? Yeah, give me a second. Yeah. Nickelback? Really? Do you think it'll be actually good or shit? I have no idea, dude. I mean, the Mario movie wasn't bad, so if it's done like in a similar manner, hopefully it's good, right? Like, I'm never gonna root for failure on one of my favorite series of all time. I already watched the live-action Zelda: The Legend of Neil. Nightbot wasn't borked, it was protesting. Probably, from some of y'all's song requests. The movie doesn't have Morshu, I'm gonna write. If the movie has Morshu, I'm gonna write. Cat getting closer to evolving to his final digital form? Yes. Speaking of that, hello, Mr. Faye. How's it going, everybody? What y'all up to today? What art piece was Faye working on? Playing art, yeah. I finished watching Attack on Titan. Did you like the ending? Going good. Cyber Musashi's still nice. Well, hopefully it's coming along. I gotta remember that you're streaming. I'm sorry. I will do better. I swear. Is Attack on Titan finally done? Yes, it's finally complete. So you can actually watch it if you want. If. Yeah, it's over. Which, in that regard, I am just happy that it's done. But, no, I mean, I was talking about this the other day. I know some people are okay, because I guess they made some changes with, like, the text and everything. Not like the actual events. The events are apparently the same from the manga. But, I guess they changed some of the wording. But, and I said this before, that, like, I don't care. I already guessed what the ending was, like, 2 years ago, and someone told me. And I basically said, I was like, that's not the direction they should take this. So, I've been someone that has not been the biggest fan of the direction they've taken the series. And pretty much I watched, I think the first 2 parts of the final season. And I just said I'm not watching this part until they wrap it up. But I think basically season 4 is where it really just goes off rails to me. And I think it would be better to watch all of seasons 1 through 3 and end there. And just pretend they never wrote the ending. It's like they rewrote parts of Bleach final season because the manga version was bad. I mean, they did do that, though. I don't know. I'm not gonna, like, poo-poo anyone that liked it, right? It's just one of those deals where, like, I don't think it was written well in the end. I think the vast majority of the show was written excellently until, like, that final season arc. 15 lilies, 0 habitrots. How? Happens. What about Baldur's Gate? Go for it. And yeah, again, guys, if you haven't ever checked out my buddy Mr. Faithom, go do so. Go give that nugget a follow. He is a fantastic artist and is my mother. Sounds weird to say. That's me, the mom. Yeah. I'm gonna have to get used to that. I don't know. I have to think about it every time. I'm not asking you to follow him. I'm telling you. Oh, I see. I can't make myself roll anymore. It actually gets easier to roll Strom once you're done foeing everyone. Because you can set your foes to burn. And it's so much faster because your inventory doesn't fill up. To be honest, not sure what I want to spend gift cards on. Do I buy a new Nindroid or do I buy Steam cards to top of my wallet? That just depends. Is there any games coming out that you're looking forward to? Calling Faye Mommy was not the direction I was expecting the stream to take. Listen, it happens. Florida ban for the next 2 days, dear God. But you merely adopted Florida ban staff. I was born in it, molded by it. It just feels so bad for the platform. YouTube stream is buried below tons of videos. Yeah, I don't really like it either. Reverse 1999 looks like a closest ripoff of FGO. That's what I've been hearing from people. They've basically been saying that it's like, you know, sort of turn-based as well. But I mean, in that regard, so is Star Rail, so. I think a lot of people have realized that this is a good game type, and it's wild, right? Because I can't tell you how many times over the years I've seen people bash FGO and be like, its gameplay sucks. I hate FGO's gameplay. There are players who play FGO who think that FGO's gameplay sucks. And I'm just like, why do you do this to yourself then? Like it either doesn't suck and you're being sensationalist, or you are just straight up a masochist that keeps playing something you hate. I'm like, either way, it doesn't look good for you. So I've never understood people criticizing turn-based combat. Turn-based strategy is a time-old thing. It predates video games. It's literally like calling chess bad. And it's like, okay, have fun with that. You're just wrong, but have fun with that. So it's like, I don't know. At the end of the day, while I can understand people might have issues with some of FGO's design, I've never once hated the gameplay of it, and like I said, it's why I'm able to still play. Yeah, every time someone says that like FGO has dated gameplay, it makes me laugh. It just makes me laugh, because then like inevitably that person's like, hey, what gachas do you like? Honkai Star Rail. Oh, I see. How did that work out for you? It's where you know people are just full of crap and they're just kind of saying stuff just to mess with you. Like they don't like you or your game, and that's why. Mario movie was fun though. Yeah, like I said, if the Zelda movie's like Mario, it's gonna be good. So. Although at that point they could just watch it on YouTube or something. Yeah, exactly. Like there's nothing forcing you to play. And I've told you guys this too. For those of you guys that are committed to FGO, you love FGO, and you're still going to be here no matter what happens, right? I understand the desire to pick up other gacha games is tempting. Allow me. Do you know what's tempting you for that other gacha game? It's the titties. Stop trying to play a gacha game to experience titties. Literally, there is porn on the internet. Go look at that. Save yourself time, effort, and money, potentially. Because it's free. So go look at images of the characters rather than actually play the game. Problem solved. We shouldn't play Nikkei because of that? Yeah, absolutely. I tried Blue Archive, didn't get Toki, so I came back to FGO. I mean, there you go. Go watch Overwatch porn instead of playing it, right? Imagine how much time you would save. Imagine the level of your enjoyment versus actually playing the game. Think about that. Think, chat. Think. I have to start bringing back the Invincible meme since it's now airing as well. Season 2 Invincible is airing now, chat, for those of you guys that didn't see it. What if we just want to read the game story? You can literally, as chat already denoted, watch like online videos of it. There's always somebody out there. Also, Omni-Man and Mortal Kombat. Yeah, that's weird. Yeah, I mean, I know some people really like playing gacha games. Some people, like, they view gacha games as a, like, time waster. They have too much time on their hands. They don't want their mind, you know, focusing on other things. So they'll play a gacha game. If that's the case, that's fine, right? Like, I'm not necessarily talking to those people. I'm talking more to the people that, like, they don't have enough time to actually juggle multiple gacha games, and they just start going, like, crazy whenever they try to. In the words of Asmongold, FGO, Epic 7, etc., I don't play those games because they're garbage games. They sell PNGs to people, etc. I mean, he's not wrong in that regard, but Asmongold plays Honkai Star Rail, so you can shit on him for that. Like, he's just as guilty. And at the end of the day, I think a lot of people don't understand Asmon. One, Asmon's not right on everything. We all know that. And Asmon usually takes a position that is either controversial or going to favor his own community. This is why he's playing Star Rail, is because everybody and their brother lobbied him to play Genshin, so he finally picked up Star Rail as a sort of like side grade where he could appease them but still not give them what they want. Which is hilarious. And you know, if you were to ask Asmon on that, I guarantee you he would immediately call himself out. And it's just some people take him way too literally. Is song request down? No, but it's being a pile of poodoo, so I'm gonna reboot it. Okay, we going? We good? Gonna start playing now? There we go. Cad, can you rant about the UI for upgrading craft essences as catharsis for those of us rolling out our FP? The UI for upgrading craft essences, sure, that's easy, and it's an easy fix, and even Mr. 2 has already sort of acknowledged this fix. No, thank you for the 20. I don't know if I said that, but I appreciate you. But the easy way to fix it is chat. Here, let me go into the craft essence upgrade screen. Oops, I misclicked. Congratulations, this is what the screen should look like for upgrading your craft essences. But Cad, you say, it's the exact same. What's the difference? Oh, I'm so glad you asked, diligent chatter, because the difference is right here. Okay? It's right here. That's all you need. Literally, all you need is the same sort of add a stack of 20 craft essences with the, like, 2 presses of the button. That's it. That's all you gotta do. Wasting a rant? It's not even a rant. Like, it is not a hard thing to fix. Whether or not they code it correctly, we'll see. Okay, so I actually have to upgrade that, which is wild. I got my Scotty to bottom 12. Woo, nice. Dad, rant about Popeye's chicken versus KFC. The only thing in my area is Popeye's chicken. That's good. KFC in my area is trash. But that's just, you know, I've said this before. Every chain is good when it's run properly. Every chain is bad when it's not run properly. Popeye's clearly better. I mean, The only thing I'm gonna say about that is I'm 100% biased towards Popeyes, and I will disclose that immediately because I've never had good KFC. That being said, there may be a scenario in which KFC is better depending on what town you live in. Right? What's up, WO3? I had bomb KFC once too. It was from New York. Yeah, like I said, a lot of that just boils down to who's running the individual store and whether or not it's well maintained and well managed. Talking about the Colonel, yes. Items or bonding? Just curious. I am farming the joint node Oxford in LB6. This is the node that gives fairy dust and bells because I need both. I had an edible KFC and I haven't had it since. Yeah, that's basically why I won't go to KFC in my town. Oxford gives tons of bond. I don't focus really on that. Yeah, if you're farming for materials, you will always be bonding. I'm gonna say this flat out. If you are farming bond over materials, you're doing it wrong. Like, I'm sorry, it is what it is, chat. Like, you should never be trying to max bond at the expense of doing the correct node. Chop, thank you for the 6-0. Chat, can we get some love for a 5-year anniversary? Dang, I have been doing this a long time, and Chop is reminding me of that. The big 5. Chop is alive? He is. He has found time to sneak out of his man cave, probably between football games. Finally unfucked Twitch, thank you. How have you been, bud? Who's the oldest sub? Chop is one of the oldest, but he's not the oldest. I think, oh, this depends. So, my first sub is Egg Cake, but Eggy subs from time to time. My, I think, oldest concurrent sub is Bovis. I'd have to double check. And Bovis mostly lurks, so. Pretty sure Steve predates me. He does predate you. Yeah, I was gonna say, some of my close friends are up there as well. No, I'm saying it like he's a predator, Ash. Mostly farming bond with extra mats being the additional incentive. Yeah, see, what I would tell you is farm mats with bond being the additional incentive, right? That's usually how you should go about it. Because you need mats in order to improve your characters. Farming bond gets you potentially more quartz. But chat, I want you guys to think about just how much longer you have to farm a bad node to beat out the guy farming for materials in order to get even one extra quartz over that guy. It's not a good trade. Let me tell you what, because that guy farming the actual node that he needs ends up with way more materials than you. Sorry I'm late. Dinner and chores. Great art today. Thank you. Appreciate it. Go give the artist some love. Go give Arden some love. You literally need hundreds of bells for skills. Oh, it's a lot more than hundreds. Good question about servants. I've started recently last week, and I'm wondering which of the upcoming servants are the ones I should summon this year. Any suggestions? We don't really have a whole lot of servants left this year. Ibuki is going to be on raid up, I think, tomorrow, and she's not a bad AoE saber, but ultimately, at this point, I would probably either wait for Scotty, who will come with Christmas, or Koyenskaya of Light, who will come in the banner after New Year's. You could also roll Koyanskaya of Darkness at New Year's. She is a pseudo support, but she's not really a like meta one. But she's not a bad unit to have nonetheless. So if you're taken by any of those units, feel free to roll on them. They should be good acquisitions. If you have 5 stars at MP1, try to get them all the Bond 6 for mana loading. Yes, that's another good advice. I've talked about doing that before. All right, chat, let's go do the Grail front. It's just the last one. I assume it's this one, which is the easier version of the one that we did before. So it's not going to be too terribly difficult, but this is time-consuming, chat. Yeah, this is the easy mode one. And after this, we are done with everything on both servers. There's nothing. I don't think there's any reason to do this one. Wait, is there? I get nothing from it? Is there no completion reward? Because you're right, I do remember there's no chest. Nope, not really. Will Oberon be available? Oberon's not going to be available for over a year. He will come back not this November here, but next November. So he came out basically in the middle of the year, and it was 18 months until his next banner. So you're pretty much at the like 12-month mark. Already stuck in, might as well. No, if I get nothing for doing this, I will just I will yeet out. It's the challenge Grail front. I mean, it's not hard. I'm not really in the slightest bit intimidated by it, especially since I already beat it on the harder mode. Also, I believe he still has the break bar, but I guess, yeah, so he has 1 million less health. It's instead of it being 3 million, it's just 2. Which is like, eh. Oh. Wait, did Nightbot yeet you? Like I said, I gotta take a look at the Nightbot settings on YouTube. I think it's like if anyone types in all caps or does a link, it'll eat you. The link I'm okay with that like squashing, but all caps isn't a huge deal. But our Bork clairvoyance, oh bro, like we have still perfect clairvoyance. Don't worry about it. Oberon might be a Thanksgiving banner. No, Oberon won't be. I can almost guarantee you he won't be. While they would stand to make a lot of money from it, they have largely restricted access to Oberon on JP for very good reason. Another Nickelback song. Actually a good one, though. Probably their best song, in my opinion. But yeah, so yeah, it looks like you already got it from the other one, so because there's no chests, it's the exact same reward. Okay, yeah, so I don't care about this. Well, that's sweet. That means we don't have to waste the time doing it. That makes me feel a lot better than as a result. Actually, how much? Means we have plenty of time to do the analysis. I have no idea how good I'm going in the event at this point.
ってけ持ってけ。旅の出会いは良い出会いってな。こいつだな。
Okay, we're good there.
昔はペルシャやエジプトのあちこちで拾い物をしたもんさ。
Gee, that's a no-brainer as to which one I'm gonna buy first.
いいもん選ぶじゃないか。ついでいいもん選ぶじゃないか。ついでにもういいもん選ぶじゃないか。ついでにもう
Okay. I may be done with silver already.
いいもん選ぶじゃないか。いいもん選ぶじゃないか。
No, they have way more.
どうだ？持ってけ持ってけ。旅の出会いはよ。持ってけ持ってけ。旅の出会いは
Okay, so yeah, silver I'm basically done with. It looks like it's gonna be gold and bronze are the last things I need, and it's gonna be probably bronze. Holy cow, yeah.
うん悪くない。昔はペルシャやエジプトのあちこちで拾い
Yeah, see,
物を
bronze, I haven't even touched the ascension mats for bronze yet, so this gonna get spicy for bronze. I probably need to do some FP rolling, ironically enough, on JP, but it is what it is. Yeah, what would you say, the mats that show up in the new events are any indicator of what the future units will require? No, usually your materials in an event are actually a indicator of what the current units require. Like, so whenever they give you a new banner for a new unit in an event, you can bet your bottom dollar that some of their materials will be in the shop to make it easier on you, which is really nice. Do you think we'll get an evocation festival tomorrow? I mean, you could, but probably not. No CE? What about it? Like, I think I've already bought the craft essence that was here.
物思いにふけっていた。
Yeah, see.
いや、
And you can see I've already bought a whole ton. This is a big shop. It's a 3-week long event, so.
鳥
Have we get a pre-campaign for something? I wouldn't count on it, honestly. Okay, chat. So because we didn't have to do the Grail front, that freed up a lot of time, and that means CAD can actually just go ahead and do another run. Let's not do that. Based off this, since I know it's gonna take me the longest, let me actually see. I'll take either. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna turn on MLB. There we go. So that's gonna help me out some with this. Who else is loving Freyrin so far? I've still only watched the first 4 episodes. I need to watch more.
大丈夫。落ち着いて。
Or they give you a unit, not the mats for it. Right. But if Castoria is on Thanksgiving banner, that's a more tangible possibility. Whether or not that would be true, though, I'm going to tell you she probably wouldn't be. And the logic here... So I wasn't supposed to do that. The logic here would be that she comes back fairly quickly still again. So if they start running Castoria too much, everyone has Castoria. And I don't think it's a bad thing for the players, but it's maybe not what the devs want. So they could, but it just depends. Freyrin's been great. Good. Glad to hear it. I probably need to pick it back up again then. It's just, I have been catching up on certain other shows and such. So, for instance, chat, lately I've been watching Undead Unluck. That show's been wild. I actually really like where that show's going.
我がのね。都度、円卓の守護者たち。
And then, I know everyone's sleeping on this, and it's not going to be everyone's cup of tea, but Under Ninja. Under Ninja is so stupid, and yet so hilarious. How is Ragnar Crimson if you've watched it? I have not. I've had other people that have. Have I tried Apothecary Diaries? It was on my to-watch list, but I haven't had the time. You mean pee yourself jutsu? I'm not caught up on it, so I may not have seen that part yet. I hear most others love Under Ninja or can't stand it. Yeah, it's very crude humor. It's very stupid humor as well. So like, what's the easy way I can make this make sense? Screw it, chat. I'm at max. Give me that charge. It's a 3-turn now. Let's go, babe. It's very ridiculous. The Susanoo theme. Where like everything is ninjas. So like the show starts out in a very like nonsensical way. It's a show about ninjas, right? And it immediately goes to the Middle East. You see like America's there like fighting some sort of insurgency, and they bust down a door because they think they finally have a terrorist. And the terrorist was killed by a ninja already. Oh, Ravana. Sorry, yeah, you're right. This is Ravana. So it's like, that's a level of like the like craziness that the show is. Like you're in a scenario in which there's nothing to do with ninjas, and then like then suddenly ninjas. Technically speaking, Berserker, but depends on your account and taste. Sorry, for what? Oh, for class score? Yeah, it's probably either Berserker or the extra 2 that's already unlocked. From there, it's just whatever class you want to focus on. So, like, I went Lancer first, just because, you know, waifu reasons. Outside of that, though, I'm going to say it's not going to matter. They can't balance the game around it, and they know it. That's what I find hilarious. They know it. Oh, weird. Is YouTube doing some sort of brand thing now? That's actually nice if they do. So the guys got ninja looted? Yeah, that's one way of thinking about it. Okay, chat. We're obviously not doing Sugitani. We are doing Mysterious Ranmaru X, aka Ranmaru. Totally not a female. Totally not a female. It's really funny too, because they pull the feminine looking again. Totally a dude. How did you know? Yep. Beat 5.5 today, ending was hilarious and amazing. Yeah, I know a lot of people that like had very mixed feelings on the ending of 5.5. Some people loved it, some people hated it. It really just depended on your feelings on a certain character. Sure looks like an unknown gender to me. Yes. Right. Yep. The guy singing this song is such a deep voice. Forgot how much Ranmaru actually has. And then it's anti-caster append. Yep. Hmm. The weird split. Yeah, and the 20%. This was Ranmaru 4, so you're looking at 12? Difficult. Yeah, it should work. Wait, if it's... Oh man, that's annoying. That's annoying. Sorry, I was thinking about the refund there, chat. NP gain is pain. It works still, but it's like that's all I can say is it's just that's not bad. Oh, people not gonna like that. Just a second, chat. I'm asking Avalon something if he's around. Because he sent me a number I want double checked. Um, really? That's pretty wild. Yeah, how's the 3-turn? How's the 3-turn? Wait, we can't 3-turn Black Grail with Space Ishtar as Buster. You, I mean, I guess you could with like Kuro now, but sounds broken as fuck if possible. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, because I don't want to say that, Avalon, without that being like crazy. Someone's gonna scream at me if I say what I was about to say. WO3, thank you for the follow. Again, welcome. What are welfare servants? Welfare servants are units like Mysterious Ranmaru here that during the course of the event you are given all 5 copies of. So as long as you complete the event, you will be guaranteed to get the unit and get all of their NP levels. And the way to look at this is most of your welfares at NP5, so it's an NP5 4-star, are stronger than a 5-star. So basically, a welfare at NP5 is stronger than an NP1 of a 5-star. That makes any sense. Okay. The Avalon's working on that for me. We can go ahead and begin in chat. No pressure, Avalon. I definitely will take longer than he will, so. Let me pour myself some drink here real fast, because apparently I did not bring water to the stream room somehow. I have no idea how. So Ranmaru NP5 greater than NP2 Spistar? No. I just, I needed clarification before I stuck my foot in my mouth. Yeah, it's actually a good point to make. I'll definitely bring that up. Okay. Let us begin, chat. Hey guys, my name's Khadroth, and today I'm going to be talking to you about Mysterious Ranmaru X. That is to say, Gurugura 6 Close Calls new welfare unit. Now, as we were just mentioning right here before I started recording, Ranmaru as a welfare unit is, and the way welfares generally work for you is they are given to you for free, you get all 5 copies, and they're generally stronger than NP1 of a 5-star when you combine all the copies. The issue with a unit like Ranmaru is going to be the availability of Ranmaru. And you might be sitting there thinking, well, Cad, you know, it's a welfare unit, and we have the Evocation Festival, eventually she'll come back. And while that is true, she hasn't come back as of the recording of this yet, and her event has not rerun, and it is stuck behind 5.5 completion. So, if you're a newer player, you can try to get Ranmaru here, but there is no known rerun at this point. She will logically come back sometime into the future, but we don't have a date for that yet. And as a result, we basically can say that she's at least going to be somewhat restrictive for those who can acquire her. It is to say, you will have to be decently far into the story in order to be able to gain access to the event. So that's going to be a concern for her. Outside of that, though, Ranmaru is actually a fairly good unit. However, we are going to draw some comparisons to some of her contemporaries, some of her competition, as well as even another welfare unit. And we're going to talk about that as we go through. But I will say that Ranmaru is not a bad unit. I think Ranmaru is another one of those units that, like we were talking about yesterday with Sakamoto Ryoma Lancer, Ranmaru received a lot of hate, and I never really understood why until I started looking into who was dishing that hate. And a lot of it boils down to Ranmaru is an AoE arts welfare avenger in a category that is full of people's waifus, and that usually is the reason behind a lot of the criticisms. Most people can't check their bias at the door and look at what sort of the gift horse is, and instead want to stare it right in the mouth and determine that they've, it's not a good unit compared to their very robust option. So, again, don't pay attention to people like that. We're going to give you the lowdown real quick here on Ranmaru as to how she works. So let's go ahead and jump right into her kit. So again, you guys can see she has about 9.8k attack. This is not, the strongest 4-star attack power. However, it is on an Avenger, and Avengers do usually have really good attack power, and we can kind of see that already here, given the fact that 9.8 is knocking on the door to 10k, and 10k is what we would consider stellar for a 4-star to have in terms of its attack power. This means that for a 4-star, Ranmaru will actually card fairly decent, regardless of whether or not her buffs are in play. Her HP, though, is the trade-off here, as is usually the case with our Avengers, and she only gets 10k, and that is just something to be concerned about. Thankfully, as an arts unit, usually she's going to be paired with some of the best supports in the game at keeping units alive, so it's not going to be too great of a concern as long as you have the right people to take with her. Her attribute is going to be Star Attribute, a rather rare one, and she will have Star Absorption of 29, a relatively low amount, but this is par for the course when it comes to our Avengers. They always have absurdly low Star Absorption rates in order to make it harder for them to soak stars since they're such offensive units. This doesn't mean that you can't generate or soak stars on them, just that you're going to probably have to find unique ways to do so. And we'll talk about that as we go through the kit. Her star generation is also fairly low at only 6%. And you can see one of the chief concerns with Ranmaru right here, which is going to be her NP gain rate. It's only 0.45, which is not a lot. Kind of average nowadays is about 5 to 6%, somewhere in there. And we definitely have units that go a lot higher. Ranmaru is down here in the 4.5% type range. I say that it's 0.45. But the idea here at play is that usually they adjust a unit's NP gain based off the kit, based off the hit counts of the cards, and since she is a arts unit, you can expect that to sort of be the case. She does have NP charge defense of 5%. This is the highest in the game that you can basically have, and this is usually going to be associated with units like Avengers, where, again, you get decent bang for your buck when they get hit, because this is going to be 5% NP generated per hit of an enemy attack. So really, really strong. You're going to get a lot if enemies have multi-hit against her. Her death rate is actually very low. Another good aspect to her. So if you are taking her into some sort of challenge where death is coming into play, you won't have to worry about it too much on her, as it'll be probably more likely that your supports get killed first instead by such a proc. She is lawful good, and I keep calling her a her, but she is gender unknown, and you're going to see why I keep calling her a her in a second here. She has Intima Elish Nullification, again, another rare one, but this is actually the case with a lot of star attribute units, as it is a rare attribute, and there is a lot of synergy there between star units and Intima Elish Nullification as a trait. That is to say, this is just an explanation for the unit not being vulnerable to Intima Elish, aka Gil's special damage on his Noble Phantasm. Not all star units are. There are some exceptions to that, but usually most Intima Elish Nullification units are star traded. So there are some exceptions to that as well, but again, it's difficult. Just try to learn who has the nullification over trying to learn everybody that doesn't. She has existence outside the domain because, again, she is an Avenger, but weirdly enough, that's a foreigner trait. You'll kind of see this here in a minute. She is feminine looking, hence my terminology here. Humanoid, levitating servant, and just a normal servant. With regards to her deck, you can see it's double buster, double arts, and quick. In fact, this is a carbon copy of Sakamoto Ryoma's deck. Only one thing has been changed, and that's the hit counts on the arts and buster cards as they're only going to be 2, which is 1 below average. So right now, this would be a cause for concern where you see only 2 hit arts cards. And again, at that 0.45 NP gain rate, we're sitting here thinking, whoa, that's kind of low. But we will rectify that somewhat. Again, though, that is something to be concerned with. And again, as an AoE arts unit, we can at least form a triple arts chain with our NP for a triple arts brave chain for even more noble phantasm generated and even more damage done on the chain. Obviously, you still have the 2 buster cards there to help you set up, but it is an interesting thing nonetheless. Starting off with the first skill here, you can see that Ranmaru has a targetable critical star absorption skill that gives 5,000 absorption. Now, I do want to call attention to this. This is a extremely high star absorption skill. It is so high that, yes, it will offset even an Avenger's cruddy star absorption rate. The good news is this means this is no longer an issue. The other good news about this means that you could put this on anyone else, including other Avengers and even Berserkers, to help them gain stars. So the fact that this is such a strong star absorption skill means it's just going to be even stronger on units that don't have cruddy star absorption for making them soak every star. So it's a really, really powerful targetable ability, but logically, with her being an arts unit and a looper, you're probably going to want to put it on her. It's going to then increase their critical damage for 1 turn, so again, a targetable 50% crit buff. So logically, you'd want to use that on your arts unit, but hey, you never know. Maybe there's another damage dealer in the party that you can try to focus this on. And then it's also going to cleanse their debuffs, another really useful tool in some sort of invincible comp or arts type challenge setup where maybe you just need the ability to stop the enemy from messing up your comp. So having the ability to have a targetable cleanse, also really good. So the fact that this entire skill is targetable is awesome. And then it still gets even better because it's on a 4-turn cooldown, which means it's got a lot of sort of uptime in a battle because you're just going to keep getting back to it over and over again, assuming we're not in some sort of 3-turn cadence where we're just farming. Her second skill here is going to be a 40% chance to charm all enemies for 1 turn. This is unfortunate because it's such a low chance that you cannot rely on it. In fact, it will happen less than half the time to each enemy, and that's assuming no magic resistance at play. So don't rely on it, but if it happens, it happens. Obviously, this could clutch, maybe in some sort of Servant Gauntlet type challenge quest. Ranmaru maybe ends up charming 1 or 2 of the enemies, and that works out for you because of that. She's also going to reduce their defense for 3 turns by up to 20%, so she does get a little bit of a steroid here. The only problem with this is it's defense down, so it's not going to be carried between waves for you. It will obviously stick on enemies for multiple turns, but unless you're going up against the same set of enemies, that would be a concern in a farming setup. And then from there, it is a critical star bomb of 10 stars. Again, this is the amount of an MLB fragment of 2030, but it is not per turn like some of the other stars per turn skills that we've seen. It is just a star bomb of 10 stars. The good news is you can pretty much rest assured that they will go to whoever you want them to thanks to this first skill. So this one is still really nice. What is astounding to me is that they end up putting it on a 6-turn cooldown, but logically they didn't want it to be something that you could just sit there and spam and try to potentially charm lock people. So it is what it is. Her third skill here increases her own arts performance for 3 turns by 30%, so there's her actual steroid. But remember, you could combine this with the defense down for even more firepower. And then a 20% charge to her own NP. You're really going to want to max the skill because not only is this going to be the uptime on your 3-turn duration arts buff, but it is going to get you that flat charge increment that you're going to want to pop turn 1. And then again, even more stars for a star bomb right here, all on a 6-turn cooldown. So now you've got 20 stars that Ranmaru can pop individually or again all at once. Totally up to you to determine how to make that work. But that does make her have a pretty adaptable kit. For passive skills, she does obviously get a C rank Avenger passive here for NP generation whenever she takes an attack, being increased by 6%. And then the downside is that this reduces the party's debuff resistance by 6% except herself. The interesting part about this is with certain units like, say, Karen, that get extra damage off of being debuffed, this can actually function as a proc. And since it says including sub-members, this means that you can throw a unit like Ranmaru in your backline, and it would also still trigger the debuff effect on Karen. So it's a little bit of an interesting tidbit there, but something you should always make note of with regards to your Avengers. She gets Oblivion Correction E, our weakest form, for only 2% extra crit damage. Ranmaru EX, which is additional arts performance of 3%, definitely going to help her. And basically 3% gauge per turn. This is included in the refund numbers that we'll be going over here in a minute. And then Existence Outside the Domain D, which is normally a foreigner passive, for 2 additional crit stars every single turn, as well as debuff resistance being increased by 4%. She gets Magic Resistance C here to stack on to that even more, bringing her up to a total of 19% debuff resistance. Not too shabby, all things considered. And then Affection of the Demon King EX, which makes her burn immune. This is actually low-key a really nice thing to have, as there are definitely some very burn-centric fights that if you manage to have Ranmaru, you can just take and completely ignore that aspect of the fight on her at least. So you might have to worry about it on your supports, but with regards to her, you wouldn't have to worry about it at all. So really, really nice if you ever have a burn-centric fight to use Ranmaru on it. With regards to her append skills, I highly recommend going for the mana loading first. You will be getting the coins from the event, so you really have no excuse for not at least unlocking it. But leveling it up all the way to rank 10 may be worth it if you plan on using Ranmaru a lot, as again, getting 20% starting charge can be really nice in certain circumstances. For third append here, again, you're probably going to have the coins to unlock, so it's not a huge deal. But if you're trying to also Grail Ranmaru, this to me would be the odd man out. Granted, Ranmaru as an AoE Avenger is going to be a little bit of a looper, especially a neutral looper. So you may find circumstances where you would be taking Ranmaru up against caster enemies. This would obviously very much help Ranmaru's refund, but it would still be a concern as to, do you actually need this append in order to help her do enough? And I'm going to say probably not. This one to me is still going to be your weakest append out of the 3. And then your first one here is going to be the extra attack finesse improvement, which improves not only damage, but also NP generation and star generation of your extra attack. Since her extra attack was the average 5 hit, it's definitely a decent one and something to be considered, especially if you're taking her into challenge content where you're up against break bars or boss waves where you're maybe going to have the ability to card after your NP. So still a really nice one. I would go again with the mana loading first, then the extra attack finesse. With regards to Ranmaru's Noble Phantasm, it is a 4-hit AoE arts NP. Comparing this to a unit like Space Ishtar only has a 3-hit. So this is where, again, something like the lower NP gain rate begins to come into play. Ranmaru managed to have 30% arts up from her third skill and still managed to get an additional 3% right here on Ranmaru, as well as 3% charge per turn to add into that. So you can kind of see why, in combination with a 4-hit AoE arts NP, they said, look, that's enough NP gain. And this is where, again, I'm going to call into question people's initial judgment of Ranmaru. Because Ranmaru's damage is not bad on a 3-turn, especially if you have the appropriate supports, and Ranmaru is a Black Grail looper, so again, I'm not really sure what people were trying to get at, because you can start Ranmaru from 0. Now, Ranmaru is going to deal damage that ignores defense buffs to all enemies, which is really, really nice, as this does mean that you're not going to be reducing Ranmaru's capability to deal damage unless you debuff her herself. Then she's also going to increase her own critical star generation rate for 1 turn that activates first by 100%. For reference, this is sort of similar to the way Caster Gil works. This will make her NP generate some stars. It is going to be pretty nice. However, don't expect it to generate as much as Caster Gil's, because Caster Gil has a pretty insane, I believe, 15 hit NP for his. That's why he manages to generate so much. Still, Ranmaru will be able to generate some with even 4 hits, so it's definitely a welcome addition, as this is just going to make the arts unit be able to generate even more stars. Now, with regards to her actual refund numbers, it would probably behoove me to tell you sort of that there is an interesting situation. Remember, Ranmaru is a neutral looper, if you will. That is to say, a unit that will focus predominantly on the 7 Knight classes, and all of them will be neutral, with the exception of Berserker. Everybody else, though, obviously, a lot of your extra classes are going to be neutral too, but then you will occasionally come up against something like a Ruler where you're actually effective, or again, Berserker in that regard, or something like a Moon Cancer where you are resistant. So don't take Ranmaru against a Moon Cancer and you're probably fine. That is to say, again, that's sort of the premise behind neutral loopers. They are neutral to almost every class out there, and that's why usually they are your extra classes that fall into it. So in that regard, talking about Ranmaru's neutral numbers, at 3 hits of overkill out of a possible 12, you're looking at, again, this being the bare minimum for the assumption of you killing the enemy. If you manage that, you're looking at about 71% NP refund in a double Castoria setup. So again, not too bad right there. You start thinking about that whole solve for 300 thing that I've talked about quite a bit, and that is basically 70% charge on turns 2 and turns 3. So you could manage to start out Ranmaru with just 100% charge right there from the Castorias. Ranmaru also has 20% charge herself, kind of leaving you only an additional 10% here on turn 2, and then 30% here on turn 3 to solve for. This is easily doable with units like Waver, units like, again, Reigns or something like that. But obviously, and, again, Oberon as well. But obviously, units like, say, a Koyanskaya or a Scotty, if you were trying to plug them in as a third support, not going to work because of the block 50 charge and the inability to spread it out. So again, Ranmaru at least will have some sort of requirement for what a third support should be in most scenarios, but it's not too bad. And this is not even considering something like mana loading, where you could maybe potentially shift an extra 20% or something like that to another wave. So if you do manage to have it maxed out, that could free you up in terms of your capabilities. Now, from there, I'm going to say it can get worse. And that is where I think there is a fair criticism. That is to say, against assassins, you're looking at more something like about 64%. That's going to make things a little bit more dicey. As again, if you start thinking about that sort of same solve for 300 there, you'd be looking at missing somewhere around 40% on waves 2 and waves 3. Add in Ranmaru's charge, and you'd be instead looking at missing a total of 60% charge, but it may not be in the right increments. It should be, but again, it just depends. So as long as you can use a unit like, say, Oberon, this would still work, but it would be a concern. And then with a unit like, say, Berserkers, you're looking at only 57% refund, and now you're missing roughly 50% each wave. This one's not going to be doable with just the single hit of overkill. Thankfully, it's Berserkers. You're an Avenger with a lot of attack power. Getting more overkill hits certainly would be possible, so if you can even sneak that up to the 60% number there, that would make it imminently a lot more doable. Just remember, these numbers are including Ranmaru's 3% passive for extra charge per turn, so it is something to take into account. Even then, the maximum NP you could generate against neutral units would only be about 94%. Same thing with assassins, it would only be about 84%, maybe 85% if you could round up. And then 75% against Berserkers would be the maximum that you could generate. That is assuming all overkill hits and just double Castoria. Obviously, you can generate more if you use a third support like someone like, say, again, Bride, that gives extra NP gain. But it just depends on your setup and what you're trying to do. Now, with regards to actual numbers here, again, that's going to be somewhat of our concern, that as we start to compare numbers with Ranmaru, you're going to be definitely concerned about who to go up against, who to compare her to. Now, I think when we start talking about this, we have to look at, obviously, the contemporaries that she has in the Avenger class. And so as we sort the sheet here, it's, you know, I have to remind you that this is a neutral sheet. So it works out perfectly for a situation like Ranmaru, where you're not necessarily going to be dealing effective damage too much. And as you look at this list, you're going to see a lot of units that are on here who are very strong. Units like Avenger kind of topping out the list, but this is sort of assuming Kama's charm to be at play. Again, this doesn't consider external support buffs or craft essences, but it does consider a unit's own skills that they may or may not have every turn. Same thing with Dante's right here, same thing with Space Ishtar. Though again, you do sort of end up having interesting scenarios with Space Ishtar where her numbers appear a little bit lower because they don't assume success, since there is a 20% chance of failure. So if you start to assume success, you're looking more at these 31k numbers over here. Sorry, let me zoom over a little bit. These 31k numbers over here, which stacked up against Kama, certainly not as good still, but this is assuming the charm lands. So you don't have to worry about it too much. This also won't include something like Space Ishtar's ability to stack NP damage with every single NP. So there are some sort of intangibles that won't show up here. Again, we've been talking about Mao Nobu and how Mao Nobu actually is a lot stronger than people realize. They'll sit here and look at a sheet like this and say, oh, well, she's lower than Space Ishtar. She's not as strong. But remember, Mao Nobu having that Buster synergy can now, as of Gouda 6 with her new buff here, basically change her 20% charge into 30%. And we're going to end up talking about the differences that makes for her. Just understand that allows her to work in a much, much better comp. And so as a result here, you're starting to look at some pretty crazy numbers, again, with sort of the ability to really top out the charts if you can manage to have a lot of stuff overstacked. I don't know why it keeps giving me the weird pop-up here. But again, you can see she does have Sky Attribute, the ability to stack 70% attack up. And she could do that in a Queen Sky setup multiple times. And then the ability to sort of also work in Divine and everything else. So Mao Nobu's damage scaling here goes really, really powerful depending on what you're up against. But even a unit like Nito Alter, a much newer unit to the scene, can actually pump a lot of damage. So as we start to look down here at the bottom of our list, we see Mysterious Ranmaru X and Salieri. Neither of them are terrible. Salieri is a much more harder to get your hands on unit at this point, so we can't assume NP5 of him because of his story locked nature. As a result, we can only look at NP1, and he kind of ends up as the odd man out. Even if you could look at him at NP5, he would still lose to most of our other Avengers, and definitely has a lot weirder of a kit in that regard in order to make him work. But Ranmaru, on the other hand, you're guaranteed NP5, and you're going to be looking at about 33k there. Again, something that's going to end up putting Ranmaru right smack up here towards the top of the list. Something where, like I said, I think a lot of people didn't really expect. They didn't know the actual numbers for Ranmaru when they first criticized her. So she is certainly a unit that also has that ability to ignore defense and is not unusable by any stretch of the imagination. So looking at that and talking about her actual damage numbers here, if we're talking NP5 Ranmaru, because we can assume that, with double Castoria, and maybe an Oberon here as our third support with a level 100 Black Grail. So this would be the most optimal setup, if you will, for Ranmaru, and a level 10 Neo Plug Suit. You're looking at sort of wave 1 damage for Ranmaru being about 147k, wave 2 being about 172k, and then wave 3, because the, again, third Oberon skill there, being a lot more like 380k. So a significant boost there and a very solid neutral number there. Again, that's 380k neutral damage, something that a lot of other AoE Avengers are still going to struggle to try and hit. As we start looking towards, again, a unit like Space Ishtar, you would only be looking at about 341k by wave 3 at NP1. Now, the issue with this is assuming the failure of Space Ishtar's skill. So again, sort of these initial numbers rather than the actual scaling over here from getting the additional card type up for your color buff. Now, okay, yeah, let me actually double check here. Right, so there's failure. Success, though, if you manage to get that, would bring her up to 375k. So 80% of the time, Space Ishtar would be stronger than Ranmaru. No, sorry. That would still be 5k weaker. She would still come in 5k shy at NP1. Now, I know a lot of you guys are going to be big fans about Space Ishtar. If you're watching this video, that's perfectly fine. You don't really have to feel threatened by her because, while yes, failure could occur and NP1 might not outpunch Ranmaru, Space Ishtar still has a lot of other intangibles that can really end up helping. Again, that 50% charge is really nice. That ability to change MP types is also really nice. So certainly some really good stuff in Space Ishtar's kit. And then it's an easily solved issue simply by going for NP2, as that starts to bump up the number to instead 455k on failure and then 500k on success. So certainly much more solid numbers for a Space Ishtar. This is sort of why in a lot of advice that we give people on neutral loopers, we begin to recommend NP2, as some of the higher level nodes have gotten to be a lot more robust in their health values. Getting NP2 of a neutral looper can be a good thing. But still, Ranmaru is going to be a unit that can Black Grail loop and basically be able to start from 0 and be able to pop off. So you shouldn't overlook that. Summer Kama, in comparison, you'd be looking at 278k without the charm on wave 3. With the charm, you'd be looking at 417k. So a little bit better than Space Ishtar. Again, these are just MP1 numbers, so if you have a unit like Summer Kama and you're sure you can land the charm, you're in a much better situation. If you don't land the charm, though, you're in a much worse situation, so it really just depends on what you're going for. But even a unit like Nito Alter can come in on wave 3 at 277k, and if you do manage to have a unit if you do manage to have a scenario that is man-traded, that where she would be effective, you can manage to get it up all the way to 415k. So in niche, Nino Avenger would be stronger than Ranmaru. But again, remember, Ranmaru's welfare. You're all getting her for free. So this can be a decent thing to tide you over until you get one of these other units or until you make that other unit more robust. That's the thing to keep in mind with regards to a welfare unit like this. So again, it's up to you to determine how you want to handle Ranmaru. As for what craft essences you guys can start with, I actually didn't load any up for you guys real quick here, but I could easily talk about them. Black Grail would be a great choice. Obviously, you're going to get a lot of damage there. Mud Rain wouldn't be as good, while it is a sort of overcharged version of Black Grail. You don't really need that overcharge on Ranmaru since it's only the star generation. Being able to use a craft essence as well, like Ocean Flyer, is going to let you handle odd set waves. Though Ranmaru can start out and handle a 3-2x type of node. So again, 3 enemies in the front wave, 2 enemies in the second wave, and any number of enemies in the third wave, and still start from 0. So it doesn't have to be a 3-3 type of node in order for Ranmaru to work. But obviously you are going to want at least a decent chunk of enemies. But again, if you do manage to have something like a 50% charge sheet, like say Ocean Flyer or Holy Night Supper or Heavenly Demon Princess, any of those could work for you as a 50% charge sheet, and they would allow you to start out and be able to handle a 2-2 type of node, or maybe even less. So yes, there might be times where you would want to do it. Maybe try to have overflow charge from Castorias and work on a Ranmaru NP as well as another damage dealer's NP. There's any number of reasons to start out with more charge. But I wouldn't necessarily recommend something like, say, Kaleidoscope or something. She really doesn't need it unless you're trying to make do with, say, something like just double Castoria and maybe like a fragment of 2004 Mystic Code. So that is obviously an option, but those are going to be sort of where you're going to go to. Again, look towards the most powerful arts and NP damage Cs you can find with 0 charge, and then look towards some decent 50% charge options, and that should be good for you. Again, let me know what you guys think about Ranmaru. Will you be relying on her services, or will you instead be preferring a unit like Space Ishtar, Summer Kama, Nito Avenger, or again, even someone like Mao Nobu, who's just now getting a buff? I'll be curious to hear you guys' thoughts on her. Let me know in the comments below, and I will see you guys for the next one. Ugh. Oh, my voice was dying, and I realized way too deep in chat that I did not have appropriate craft essences loaded out for this. Thankfully, I know it all off the top of my head, so it's not too bad. Chaldea Break Room, you want me to take a look at it? Sure. How far back was that, though? I see this one. I think that's the only one I missed. Sorry, an artist sent me something that made me chuckle. Only Avenger I have is Lobo, Zeus Killer. Yep. Prophet killed Song Request with his skip power. No, I killed Song Request when you guys Song Requested back-to-back ear rape songs. Like, I don't normally mind one wing at Ayaya, but it was super loud and I couldn't hear myself think. So that's why I ended up pausing it. Okay. Actually bought FP with rare prisms. Never thought this day would come. I mean, I don't advise anyone do that, but if you're someone that rolls so much, like you spend a lot of money on the game and you just have a ton of rare prisms, no real harm in it. And then the song died. Yeah, I literally took the time to maneuver my mouse and pause it in the middle of trying to discuss everything. So please don't make me do that, chat. Yeah, so this one was about Cinderella. Obviously, I'm not going to bother reading about the actual unit because that one's easy. But you guys know I do like to read developer commentary. And so let's read the interview here. Out of all Noble Phantasm animations for all Elizabeths, which one do you think was the most fun, challenging, or memorable for you to make? That's weird. It doesn't actually tell us who the... oh, okay. It's the 3D artist. So working on Elizabeth's animation is always different. It always makes it fun. It's hard to choose which one was the most fun, but I might have to say Elizabeth Brave, not just for her Noble Phantasm, but also for her battle animation. Many of you may already have noticed that both her Noble Phantasm and battle animations look somewhat familiar because they're references to other video game animations. Yes. Brave Liz is basically a reference to... God, why do I keep wanting to say Dragon Age? It's Dragon Quest. And basically the warrior from Dragon Quest. Though I have to admit, some of these references may have been too old for some of the younger staff members working on the animation to get. They're not. Basically, even I know of that, and I haven't played hardly any of the Dragon Quest games. Yeah, Dragon Quest is super popular over in Japan. When it comes to the most memorable animation for Elizabeth, that would have to be Halloween Elizabeth. Which one? It's Caster, but like, I only know that because that is her actual name. But like, you can't just say Halloween Elizabeth. She was one of the first different class servants that was going to be available as an event limited servant a few months after FGO's launch. There you go. And so I didn't know how far my team could push the envelope in changing or arranging her movements. It's hard to compare her finished animations from back then with current animations, but given how well received she was and the popularity of the craft essence featuring Irie, the entire event was very memorable for me. You know, that's another interesting thing that calls into mind, chat. It's not just that, like, FGO uses Unity. It's also that FGO uses a very antiquated method of animating sprites, which I'm going to say doesn't have a lot of applicability now in the rest of the video game animating world. So as a result, any person looking to work for LaSingle getting experience doing this isn't necessarily getting experience doing anything that could help them in any one of their other jobs. I'm sure there are ways that it could, but yeah, I don't know that that would necessarily work. More Halloween movies for Elizabeth or vice versa, yeah. Other than that, I would have to say that Elizabeth Cinderella is the cutest, and this entire Elizabeth series wouldn't have been possible in the first place without the original Elizabeth Lancer, and I personally like Elizabeth in Extra and Extella series too. The Elizabeth rabbit hole sure is a deep one. I feel like he just tried to throw in every Elizabeth there at the end. Game hints and strategies. Elizabeth Bathory Cinderella is a unique servant, as of all of her skills come with debuffs. Thank you. That's not a good thing. However, these abilities are all very powerful and include an on-demand NP charge with crit stars. All right, so my issue here is the use of Vary. That is sensationalist, and you didn't need to include it. And I know that's me being pedantic, chat. I'm nitpicking, but like, you could have just said all these abilities are powerful, and that would have made sense. When you call them very powerful, I disagree with you. There are much more powerful skills in the game, and it doesn't really warrant the debuff. Just saying. So that's why I have issue with them adding an extra adjective there. And include on-demand NP charge paired with crit stars on cooldown as low as 4 turns. The debuff she inflicts on herself with her skills can be removed using her Noble Phantasm, which also increases the attack power of Fairy Tail servants. Since there are so many powerful fairy... Alright, you failed. You get an F now. You failed right here. Since there are so many powerful Fairy Tail servants in FGO's lineup. Let's go look at how many there are, chat. What do you say? What do you say we go find that? Oh wait, that's Fae. This is technically Fairy Tail. Man, so many? Dear Lord, that's like 1% of the game's population. So let's see, it's how many? It's more than 1%, chat. But like 7, 14 plus 6, 20. So 20 out of like 400. So it's 5%. That's not a lot. I'm sorry. That's why I'm gonna give them an F. They get too sensationalist in some of this stuff, and they got to realize they are the game's developer giving players advice with this. You need to be correct. You need to not overstate things and not try to like fluff it up to sound way stronger than it is. Since there are so many powerful Fairy Tail servants in FGO's lineup, throw a few of them onto your team with Elizabeth Bathory Cinderella and remind your enemies just how scary fairy tales can be. So that's fine. I could see that. But no, I'm going to tell you flat out, like, if we just look at this chat, how many of these would you guys consider powerful? Like, yeah, there are some here, including Kentucky, which is rather hilarious to me. But honest to God, like, yeah, I'm sorry. Like, in most of these scenarios, the unit is either piss poor weak, or the unit is stronger than Cinderella is and is carrying. So it is what it is. Robin used to be powerful. Robin's still powerful for what he is. Okay, and then we have an interview with the event logo localizer designer. I do find these interesting. So what does your job entail, and what what is your process? And they've actually already interviewed this guy before. I don't know if you guys remember this. It wasn't part of the Chaldea Break Room series. It was just via like some other thing. But it low-key is like what led to it. But they asked him about how NA logo design works. Because I think it was on one of the live streams that they did this. My job is to create event logos in game UI animation, localize the FGO official USA websites, news articles, and create special websites for the English version. That's interesting. So he's more than just a graphic designer. He's also a translator. I try to pay attention to the English-specific rules that are not used in Japanese and lay out designs that will look seamless to the players. And they really do. Like, I gotta admit, he does a pretty good job with a lot of this. Because, as you can see, even something like I assume that's kanji, I can never remember the difference, chat. But even something like that over here, and then this over here, they use the exact same style. And I think that's probably because they get, like, the font settings and such from Japan. But it could be the case that he has to actually make it all from scratch himself. And if he does, that's actually really well done. My first step in creating a logo is to look at all the details from the logo in the Japanese version. Japanese has kanji, hiragana, and katakana. As part of its writing system, each of these styles gives a unique feel. So the most important point to consider when localizing a logo is how to incorporate those elements using alphabet lettering without destroying the original Japanese version. No. This right here, this is a load of bullshit. All he's trying to do is keep the exact same artistic style and translate that here. Because if he's trying not to destroy the Japanese version, he did right here. Because all he did was lay it out like this and then ram Little Big Tengu down here. Whereas in Japanese, you instead end up with this like blob up here being all of the extra language and then Little Big Tengu down here. So the composition completely changed. He still largely got the gist of it. And you can see they even changed the location of the clouds to be still behind the writing, as opposed to where they were on the Japanese side of things. And he made it bigger to take up more space so that you could still, like, not feel like it's as dead, but it is an interesting thing to see. Like, to me, it still feels largely the same, but this is how I know this part is kind of BS, because he's mostly just trying to mimic style rather than not destroy the Japanese version. I went over this in a live stream. The guy is on the JP dev team. Yeah, I was gonna say, I remember like before they were ever doing Chaldea Break Room, I think it was just a like they didn't actually interview him. It was just we got to hear from him and like basically I think it was just Albert reading a transcript of like what the dude said, if I remember. Yeah, and they showcased the logos. So, but yeah, I have no issue with it. But and this is his job, is to basically translate it, so it's interesting, to say the least. Okay, and so then we see even more from it. What's the most challenging logo you have ever worked on, and why? The most challenging ones to me are the ones that use Japanese calligraphy fonts, which is pretty much all of them, chat. They have a very distinctive style, and adding brushstrokes to alphabet lettering is challenging. The logo for 7 Duels of the Swordmasters in Part 1.5 was especially unique, and it was a trial and error process to try and mimic the feel of the cool brush script in English. Yeah. So it sounds like he doesn't actually get font files or anything like that. He is trying to Photoshop / art his way through it and mimic it. And like I said, I gotta hand it to him. He's doing a damn good job. As much as I'll say that like last paragraph on the prior page was full of shit, it's not that the guy's doing a bad job. That was just PR speak. But he's still doing a fantastic job at doing what he is doing, right? Additionally, and this goes for all the logos we create, but the letter count typically increases when Japanese is translated into English. Yep. Because Japanese is a very concise way of writing. And so it's tough to maintain the balance of the logo with the increased letter count. I'm going to say what he's trying to say there, chat, is it's tough to convey it in the same amount of space without shrinking the font and making it too squeezed and like minuscule, right? It still needs to be readable. It still needs to be recognizable. So if he makes it too small, they're going to have issues. What was your most memorable moment working on the game? Be working on the logo for Part 1, Chapter 1. This would be the very first logo for the upcoming new main chapter, which was expected to continue for many chapters to come. So I put special care in creating the logo to set the standard for all subsequent chapters. Who is your favorite servant event? Okay. My favorite servant is Edmond Dantes. He became my favorite during Vengeful Demon's Wail at the Prison Tower event. He was the very first servant I got up to NP5. Ooh, we got a whale on our hands, chat. My favorite event is Servant Summerfest, aka Summer 3, chat. I saw how elaborate the backgrounds of the Servant Festival venues were, and was impressed with the extraordinary dedication and effort put in by the production team. For reference, chat, I don't know if this is still the case, but I know for years, Summer 3 was considered to be the best event in the history of FGO. It was the most popular. Every summer since then has tried to mimic it in some way, shape, or form. And they can't really catch lightning in a bottle multiple times. So I will say they did a fantastic job. I think a lot of it's just the setting and the theming of Summer 3 is what's so awesome. And that's why, like, Summer 7, I think it was, this year on JP, kind of tried to be an exact copy of it, but not. So it's interesting to say the least. Was it Summer 8? Okay, sorry, yeah. Lose track of the numbering at this point. Would have liked to experience it. Yeah, I mean, hopefully one day they'll give us like actual main interludes, because it's fantastic. So I definitely wouldn't recommend skipping it. Yeah, that was the interview in a nutshell. It's an interesting one. Like I said, I think the logo designer does a great job. PR speak aside, I think they are doing fantastic work that is probably difficult, time consuming, and unappreciated. So again, I got to give props to the guy that actually does this. Whoever wrote this, on the other hand, though, no, stop, get help. Okay, I will help you write this. When is Mr. 2 stream on NA? Yeah, Sunday we have the live stream. It is a light stream, so I'm not expecting too much. And they did also announce the panel for Anime NYC that is going to be on the 18th. I have not looked at what day that will be. That will be a Saturday. Thank God it's on a Saturday, so I don't have to, like, if I have to stay up late or something like that, it's not the end of the world. Did you hear about the Taimanin RPG XFU to its player base mere days after launching? Wait, what do you mean days after launching? Isn't that like a gacha game that's been around for like, God, I think it's like as long as FGO or something. Will we have the Anime NYC panel spy, or is it streamed? I'm sure someone will be there. I have no idea if it's going to be streamed. I would assume so, though, since they've already given us notice. Oh, it's the NA launch? That's weird. I had not heard about that. Like, I had heard there was some drama, but I had not, like, seen anything. Because I don't pay attention to it. I also assumed it's like, if it's the NA version, it's probably censored, or was it never like NSFW in the first place? Imagine if FGO gave people like 60-cent courts because of error. Well, that sounds great. They should do that. Who do you think will be on the Thanksgiving banner? Anyone's guess. Like, Thanksgiving is really hard to predict, and last year was no exception to that, as, you know, they've kind of proven that they'll just do whatever the heck they want. The dash is important here. I have no idea. All right, YouTube people, I'm going to be doing the media share night because we got copy claimed last time on YouTube because of like movie trailers and stuff like that. Feel free to come on over to Twitch if you guys want to watch along. We usually watch some fun or interesting stuff. I react to it as chat wants me to, but again, don't feel like you're, being left out. But I am gonna end stream on the YouTube side of things here shortly. So like I said, feel free to come over or again get on the Discord. You guys know the deal over there. But yeah, so essentially, I cannot continue this portion of the stream on YouTube. My apologies for that, but we'll see you guys over there for the next one if you don't come over here. And again, I should be live tomorrow. We will be doing more FGO and more Samurai Remnant. There. Let us wrap things up over there.